Hello, this is Father Fred here again today, and I'm telling you, it is cold outside. We are in January, and the wind chill factor gets down below zero. Now that is pretty chilly. Well, we finished chapter 33, and now we're going to go to chapter 34. Now, if this is the first time, I say this every time just to get you to where you can understand, comprehend better. Instead of reading this, go to chapter 1 and find out how we get to where we are, because we're a long ways from where we started from, and it's necessary, I think, to understand when we're talking. We're going to be talking about different authors, one from the north and one from the south, and we find that out in chapters 1 and 2 and 3, way back there. And go back in my profile, and they're in English and Spanish, so be sure you get the English one. Now, Jacob in chapter 33, he got his name changed. But what does that mean? When God changes our name, changes somebody's name, he changed Abram to Abraham because he was going to be the father of many nations. And that is going to take a trick because he's 100 and he hadn't had a child yet. Been together now for probably 70, 75 years and no children. Well, he changes his name from Jacob to Israel. And what that means is when your name is changed, you've got some purpose, big purpose. Abraham was going to be the father of many nations, and now his grandson, Jacob, he's going to be changed his name to Israel. He just got his name changed in the last chapter. And this is going to be all in what we call J, or the south source. The writer is going to be from the south. And it makes a difference because the kingdom is divided, and there's a writer in the northern kingdom and a writer in the southern kingdom, and a writer that's called the priest. So we have also Jacob has now 11 sons. Now, you know he's got some daughters in there somewhere, but daughters don't even mention. When it mentions, for instance, Adam and Eve, all they talk about is Cain and Abel and his brother. No girls. The girls just didn't matter much to the people back then. Now, this finally, back in chapter 30, I'm going to quote something. We're in 34, but going back to chapter 30 and verse 21, we're going to find out something important, because now they say that there's a daughter. Now, you know, when you've got 11 sons, you're going to already have daughters. But if a girl's name is mentioned, it's going to be somebody important. For instance, way back there, we mentioned Rebecca, and Rebecca was important. She's the one that married Isaac, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Back in chapter 30, is what we read that she has a daughter. If she's got a daughter and it mentions it, it's going to be somebody important, or something important is going to happen. Chapter 30, verse 21 says, if you want to go back and read it, or you can just listen to this and go back later if you want to. But chapter 30, verse 21 says, afterwards, that's after all the boys, afterwards, she gave birth to a daughter, and she named her Dinah. So remember that name. Well, you won't have to hard to remember because this chapter is about Dinah. Whenever the girl's mentioned, she's going to have a big part. Then, back in chapter 30, verses 22 through 24, finally, Rachel gets to have a child. Now remember, Rachel's the one that Jacob loved and wanted to marry for 7 years, and then worked 7 years and didn't get her. He had to work another 14. And Rachel has finally had a son. Now we've already got 10 before this one. Leah had 6, and 2 maidservants, each had 2 boys. Now we've got a girl, finally, and this girl is born of Leah. Rachel doesn't have any girls. Leah gives birth. Now, in chapter 30, verses 22 to 24, we read this. Then God remembered Rachel. Now, in the J source, God is very close to the people. He walks, he talks, he remembers things, he forgets things. Well, I don't know if it ever says he even forgets anything, but he's sorry, and he's just a close God. He walks with them. He even made them clothes for Adam and Eve. Chapter 30, verse 22 to 24 says, Then God remembered Rachel. God listened to her, just like they're talking. God listened to her and made her fruitful. Finally, why in the world does God have to wait so long to make her fruitful? She was the best one of the girls. She did steal her daddy's gods. Remember that. God listened to her and made her fruitful. She conceived and bore a son, and she said, God has removed disgrace. So every time the boy is born, they tell him why they name it. God has removed this. God has blessed me. And but when it's a girl, it's just Dinah. There's no explanation at all. But this says, God has removed disgrace. She named him Joseph. So that's the first one that Rachel has had. And the children of Rachel and Joseph are going to be the two special ones. Joseph is going to be the one that saves the whole family later on. God has removed disgrace, and she named him Joseph, saying, May the Lord add another son. And this is telling us that God's going to give her one more son before she passes on. Now, she's not going to live very long, because you remember when she stole those gods of Laban's, and Laban accused Jacob. Jacob said, if anybody has stolen those, they will be put to death. Now, he doesn't put her to death, but she doesn't live much longer. And I think it's because she stole those gods. Let's go now to chapter 34. And it's all from the south. And we start out with verse 1. Dinah, the daughter whom Leah had borne to Jacob, went out to visit some of the women in the land. Now, she should take a chaperone with her. She should have somebody else with her. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, now this is going to be not one of the Israelites. He's a Hivite. So his children are not going to be the ones that are going to be in this royal family. Shechem was a common name. It's the name of the person. It's also the name of the town where he settled. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the leader of the region, he's the leader, and he's the leader of the region where he is named Shechem, and his Shechem. So you get the property that something about that family had something to do with the name of that town. Again, verse 2. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the leader of the region, saw her, he seized her and lay with her by force. He raped her. Dinah she's going to be important in this. He raped her by force. Verse 3. Now this sounds so strange. He was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and was in love with the young woman. If you're in love with somebody, we wouldn't think you're in love with someone if you rape them. That just wouldn't go. So he spoke affectionately to her. I guess while he's raping her, he's speaking affectionately to her. Maybe it wasn't too much of a forced rape. Verse 4. Shechem said to his father Hamor, get me this young woman for a wife. He rapes her, but he loves her. You get maybe the idea that wasn't maybe so much force. He wants to marry her. Verse 5. Meanwhile, Jacob, that's the father of these 11 sons and one daughter. Meanwhile, Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter Dinah, but since his sons were out in the field with his livestock, Jacob kept quiet until they came home. I guess so, he didn't have anybody to tell to. Verse 6. Now Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to discuss the matter with Jacob. He's going to go talk to see about getting them. I don't know if he knows about the rape or not. Never does tell us. Again, verse 6. This is Shechem's daddy, the daddy of, this is Hamor, the daddy of Shechem, and Shechem is the one that raped her and wants to marry Dinah. Verse 6 again. Now Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to discuss the matter with Jacob. Verse 7. Just as Jacob's sons were coming in from the field, when they heard the news, the men were indignant. They were indignant and extremely angry. Shechem had committed an outrage in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter. Such a thing is not done. That sounds like somebody, those brothers are talking to us. Such a thing is not done. Verse 8. Hamor appealed to them, saying, my son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife. What in the world would you think? Somebody come to you and say, my son would like to marry your daughter. And this is after he raped her. Verse 9. Intermarry with us, give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves. We can just be one big happy family. Our boys get your girls, and your boys get our girls. Number 10. Verse 10. Then you can live among us. Now they own the land, so now if you do that, then you can stay here with us. This is our land, remember. The land is open before you. We'll just open the gates. Settle and move about freely in it and acquire holdings here. You can come here and we'll give you land. You can pick just wherever you want to live. Verse 11. Then Shechem appealed to Dinah's father and brothers, do me this favor, and whatever you ask from me, I will give. Now, he's just as innocent as he can be. It doesn't sound like anyway that he knows about the rape. Verse 12. No matter how high you set the bridal price and gift, I will give you whatever you ask from me. Only give me the young woman as a wife. He wants to marry this girl. He loves her. Here comes revenge. The revenge of Jacob's sons. Now, Jacob's sons, remember, they're indignant. That's putting it mildly. 13. Jacob's sons replied to Shechem and his father, Hamor, with guile. They got some ulterior motives coming on here. Speaking as they did because he had defiled their son, their daughter, their sister, Dinah. Verse 14. They said to them, we are not able to do this thing to give you our sister to an uncircumcised man. They are not part of the family. They're uncircumcised. They are not Israelites. It's bad news for intermarriage. For that would be a disgrace for us. You people aren't even having, you're not in the family because you hadn't been circumcised. That was what circumcision was about. It made them in the family of God. That was the covenant with God and Abraham. One of them. They had two covenants. Verse 15. Only on this condition will we agree to that you become like us by having every male among you circumcised. Now, he's still not going to, he knows that they're not of the royal family. He's just telling them this to get them circumcised, saying, you'll be like us. But he knows they're not going to be in that family anyway. He's got other plans. Verse 16. Then we will give you our daughters and take your daughters in marriage, and we will settle among you and become one people. You do this for us, and you can settle, you can be part of the family. But, here's the big problem, but if you do not listen to us and be circumcised, we will take our daughter and go. Evidently, they're just passing through. We'll take our daughter and go. Verse 18. Their proposal pleased Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man lost no time in acting on the proposal. Since he wanted Jacob's daughter, now he was more highly regarded than anyone else in his father's family. going to be marrying up. He's going to be the highest regarded. Verse 30. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate. This is kind of like going to the pool hall where I was in Oklahoma. That's where everybody gathered, the men anyway. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of the city and said to the men of their city, these men are friendly toward us. Don't ever trust these guys. This family they're not most honest. These men are friendly toward us. Let them settle in the land and move about in it freely. There's ample room in the land for them. We've got a lot of land here. We can take their daughters in marriage and give our daughters to them. Give and take. You're giving your daughter. Daughters don't have any say-so at all. We'll give you the daughters, and you give us your daughters. Don't try that in this age. Verse 22. But only on this condition will the men agree to live with us, and from one people with us, that every male among us be circumcised as they themselves are. Now, if I weren't getting part of the family, I wasn't getting married, why should I get circumcised so that somebody else can get married? Shechem must have been not just important man. They must have been afraid of him. But remember, Jacob's got a lot of cattle. He's a rich guy. So they're going to get his part cattle too, in their minds. Verse 23. Would not their livestock, this is the reason all of them maybe consider getting circumcised. Would not their livestock, their property, and all their animals then be ours? Yeah. We can have these things. It's going to be a little painful. Let us just agree with them so that they will settle among us. Now, remember Jacob, he's rich. They got their eyes set on all this cattle. Verse 24. All who went out of the gate of the city listened to Hamor. Everybody evidently had to pass through that gate, and that was like the bulletin board in our school before cell phones. All who went out of the gate of the city listened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and all the males, all those who went out of the gate of the city, were circumcised. All that went out of the gate, that means everybody. That's their meeting place. Verse 25. On the third day, while they were still in pain, they've been circumcised, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, brothers of Dinah, each took his sword, advanced against the unsuspecting city, and massacred all of the men. Don't know what they did for the women, but they've killed all of the men. You might call that overkill. He killed all of the people. Now, the two brothers that did this, Simeon and Levi, they are both daughters of Leah, and Dinah is a daughter of Leah, so that's their full blood sister, not half sister like the rest of them. This is their full sister. They got Leah for the mother and Jacob for the father. So those two of the full blood brothers went out. There's just those two. Now Levi is going to be the priest. He's going to be, you've heard of the Levitical priest. When they divide the land up, Levi doesn't get any because they are going to be the priests. Now this is the priest, the head of the priest that's going to kill all these people. Verse 26. After they had killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword, they took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. So Dinah was already there. They killed him and then they took Sinah. So it's almost like maybe they're already married. She's already there anyway. Verse 27. Then the other sons of Jacob followed up the slaughter and sacked the city because their sister had been defiled. Yeah, that's why they're getting all this cattle, because their sister had been defiled. They're getting the cattle because they want the cattle. Verse 28. They took their sheep, the cattle, and donkeys, whatever was in the city and in the surrounding country. So it's just not just that city. Sounds like they killed everybody around in the country. Verse 29, they carried off all their wealth, and they carried off their children and their women, and looted whatever was in the houses. So they got the girls, they got the women, and they got the children. Now, I don't know how old the children, some of them are going to be circumcised already if they're over 8 days old, because that's kind of like our baptism. We baptize them, try to get them the first week, because these Jews that were in the Israel Jewish faith, when they became Christian and they had been circumcising to be in the family, they didn't wait till you were made a decision. They were circumcised within 8 days. And when they became Christian and baptism took the place, they carried the same tradition. They would be baptized in those first 8 days. Verse 30. Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, now that's the two boys that did the slaughtering, you have brought trouble upon me by making me repugnant in the inhabitants of the land. Now remember, they're in the minority. What's going to happen to us now that we've killed these people that belong here? What are the rest of the people that this is their land? What are they going to do to us? So the daddy's looking beyond just wherever what's going on right there with that little bit of family. That's maybe the whole area. They might come after them. So again, that verse 30, Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have brought trouble upon me by making me repugnant to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. So there are a lot of people. I have so few men that if these people unite against me and attack me, I and my household will be wiped out. He is not really so concerned about all those other people being killed because it's bad to kill. He's concerned that they might come back, the rest of them might come and get us. He is scared of the repercussion. He doesn't really say anything about why did you boys kill all those people? Or you shouldn't do that. Verse 31, and this is the last verse. But they retorted, should our sister be treated like a prostitute? Should our sister be treated like a prostitute? Now, Jacob knows this. This is in chapter 34. In chapter 49, Jacob's getting ready to die, and he's going to tell all his children, oh, this is what you get, and this is what you get. And if you'd like to turn to chapter 49, it's the next to last one, verses 3 and 4, he tells Reuben, he lets him know what he had done back there to risk everything. It says, Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, the first sign of my strength, excellence in honor, and excellent in power, but turbulent as the waters. You are just you just don't have any sense. You will no longer excel. You're not going to do any good because you are just a warmonger. You cause too many problems for us. But they do get by. And remember, Joseph is the only son that Rachel has. But the number 12 belongs to God. So she's got 11 now. 6 with Leah, 2 with the one maidservant, 2 with the other maidservant, and now that's 10. And now 1, the girl doesn't count. And now 1 that Rachel's only one, Joseph, and he's going to be the most important one from here on out. But she is going to have one more child, and it's going to do her in. Her life is cut short, and I think it might have something to do, according to this writer, of what happened that would cause her want to do this. You have a good weekend. Boy, it's been cold here. It is. It was below zero for the wind chill factor. I didn't even go out yesterday, and I probably won't go out today unless the house catches on fire or something. God bless you. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week. And we're going to see what Joseph is going to have to go through, but he's the favorite son. God bless.